Fourth graders, hello there. Well, I almost said good morning, but for me it's 7:38 at night, and I am exhausted. But here we go. I think you guys are going to like this lesson because it kind of wraps everything up that we've been doing in lessons 1 through 3. So moving on to Module 2, Lesson 4, we are going to be relating metric units in order to express the measurements in different units. So really kind of just taking all of the measurements that we've talked about in lessons 1, 2, and 3 and kind of just applying them to different scenarios today. So let's just review the metric units that we've been looking at. So what are the metric units for mass? Okay, mass is sort of like weight. Mass is the fancy way, the scientific way of saying weight. Okay, and those are, let me change my color up here, gram and kilogram, the bigger one. Okay, gram, remember, was super small, and kilogram was quite large, times 1,000. Okay, and then for length, we talked about centimeters. I'm going to abbreviate these. We talked about meters, and there are 100 centimeters in a meter. And then even bigger, we have our kilometers, and there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. I said I was going to abbreviate those, and then I went ahead and wrote the whole thing. Yeah, silly me. Okay. km, kilometer. And then for capacity, measuring liquids, we have our milliliters, lowercase m, capital L, and capital L for liters, okay? All right, so let's just refresh our brains a little bit, and what are the conversions, and then what do we know about the relationship of those conversions? And really the important part is just to remember how many meters are in a kilometer, how many centimeters are in a meter. Most of these are pretty easy to remember because they go by 1,000. Some kids were having a hard time this week, though, with the meters and centimeters. So make sure you don't make that same mistake today, that there are 100 centimeters in a meter. So you'll need to know that when you convert, that you're only inviting 2 zeros over instead of 3. So let's go ahead and start with that since we're talking about it. If I have 1 meter, okay, that's going to equal my 1 centimeter times 1,000 equals 1. Oh, geez, I just said don't forget, don't do that. 1 centimeter times 100, because there are 100 centimeters in a meter, and that's going to give us our 100 centimeters, okay? So 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. And then you could simply plug in a different number for that. So you would say 3 meters, and you would multiply that 3 meters by 100, and you would get your 300 centimeters. Okay, you don't have to write that. Just an example. All right. Now that we're sticking with meters, with length, we might as well go ahead and do our 1 kilometer. So 1 kilometer, we would take our 1 meter, and this time we're going to multiply by 1,000 because there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer, and we're going to get 1,000 meters, okay? 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. Okay, so there's our length. All right, then, so we have our length. Let's go ahead and do our capacity. So capacity, we have 1 liter, and we want to move to milliliters, okay? So the conversion for that would be to take your milliliter, your 1 milliliter, and multiply that by 1,000. This is another 1,000 conversion, and you would get your 1,000 milliliters. So again, just remembering that 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters, or 1,000 milliliters would be equal to 1 liter. Okay. And then, so we did length, we did capacity. Now we're going to go ahead and do mass. So for mass, we talk about kilograms. So we're going to do our larger unit, which is 1 kilogram. Kilo. Thinking of that. 1,000. Okay. And I want to get to grams. And in order to get to grams, I need to take 1 gram and multiply it by 1,000. And that would get me my 1,000 grams. Okay, so really just focusing in on these conversions here. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. 1 kilogram equals 1,000 grams. The only one that's a little bit different is your meters to centimeters, but picture that meter stick. There are 100 of those centimeters on that 1 meter stick. Okay. Something we haven't really done yet is compare metric units. So notice that we have milliliters, liters, milliliters. And it's hard to compare when we don't have the same units. So what I'd like you to do here is to get the same units. Now you can either convert this to mixed units, turn it into liters and milliliters, or take this and convert it all to milliliters. Okay, so if you were to convert this to liters and milliliters, you would have 724 liters, 706 milliliters. Okay, and we can compare our liters right away. 724 is greater than 72. Another way you could do it, and maybe you prefer to do it this way, is to convert 72 liters, 760 milliliters back into just milliliters, and that would be 72,760 milliliters. Okay, and then you could go ahead and compare that here. So you have 72,724 thousands, and right away you'll be able to say 724 thousands is greater than 72 thousands. So when you're comparing, just remember, get like units. Okay, either get your liters and milliliters or convert all to the smaller unit. Okay, this is where we're going to spend most of our time on the video today. What I would like you to do is probably you're going to have to pause the video, create this number line here, and then when you're ready, you can unpause it and finish watching. So go ahead and pause, make this number line, and then start the video again. Okay guys, now that you have your number line ready, we are going to plot these 3 numbers on our number line. Now, just like when we just did the comparing, it was easier to get them to be the same units. Now you can see in the number line, I only plotted the number line in meters. So I almost feel like it would be a lot easier to convert these to just meters. Or perhaps you would like to write underneath them what they would equal in kilometers and meters. So why don't we go ahead and do that? 7,230 would be the same as 7 kilometers, 230 meters. Okay, this would be the same as 7 kilometers, 240 meters. Notice how we're jumping up by tens. 110, 230, 240, 250. So this will be 7 kilometers, 250 meters. And this would be 7 kilometers, 260 meters. Okay, so now we have mixed units on the bottom, smaller unit on top. Okay, let's go ahead and start with 7,256 meters. Okay, that shouldn't be too difficult. 7,256. It's not going to go here. It's not going to go here. I need to get up to 256. So here I'm between 50 and 60. Halfway between these would be 55. So I'm going to say that it's probably going to go just past the halfway mark between these. So I'm going to go ahead and sneak that on there. I think I might have to write it diagonally. 7,256 meters. Okay, check. Done. Now I'm going to move on. I have 7 kilometers, 246 meters. Now I can go ahead and look at my bottom here where I have mixed units. 7 kilometers, 246 meters. Well, let's see. Halfway in between 40 and 50 would be 45, plus one more would be 46. So I'm going to go just past my halfway mark, and I'm going to go ahead and plot that. But I'm going to plot it as they wrote it. 7 kilometers, 246 meters. Okay, check. Last one, 725,900 centimeters. Centimeters. So we really have to think about this one. I think it would be easier to convert this into meters. So in order to convert this to meters, we would divide by 100, which would mean that we would cross off those 2 zeros at the end, and we're left with 7,259. And that would be meters. That would get us to meters. And you can convert again to get 7 kilometers, 259 meters. But I think I'm going to leave it just like that. 7,259. That's 1 meter away from being 7,260. So I think it's safe to say that it would go right here. And I'm going to plot that as 725,900 centimeters. I'm going to plot it like they had it listed. Okay? All right, guys, go ahead and get started on the problem set.